The vast expanse of the Wyoming plains stretched out like an endless sea of golden grass under the relentless afternoon sun. Clara Boone wiped the sweat from her brow with the back of her gloved hand, her muscles aching from a morning spent mending the northern fence line. At 26, she was no stranger to the brutal demands of ranch life. Her father had taught her everything: how to rope a calf, brand cattle, and stare down a storm without flinching. But since his passing 2 years ago, and her brother's abrupt departure to chase gold in California, the weight of the Boone ranch had fallen squarely on her shoulders. The land was unforgiving, a patchwork of dusty pastures and stubborn sagebrush that seemed to fight her every step. Loneliness crept in like the evening shadows, a silent companion that made the creak of the windmill sound like mockery. Clara straightened up, her denim shirt clinging to her skin, and surveyed the horizon. The ranch house stood a mile off, a modest wooden structure with a wraparound porch that had seen better days. Smoke curled lazily from the chimney, a sign that she'd left the stew simmering on the stove. It was a simple life, one she cherished despite the hardships, but lately, the isolation gnawed at her. Whispers in town painted her as the lonely cowgirl, a woman too tough for suitors, too independent for marriage. She scoffed at the notion, but deep down, she wondered if there was truth to it. Who would want to share this rugged existence? Who could match her fire? As she gathered her tools, a hammer, nails, and coils of barbed wire, into the saddlebag of her mare, Daisy, a distant rumble caught her ear. It wasn't thunder, the sky was clear blue, not a cloud in sight. Squinting against the glare, Clara spotted a figure on horseback approaching from the east. The rider was massive, his silhouette cutting an imposing figure against the rolling hills. He rode a black stallion that moved with purposeful grace, kicking up dust in its wake. Clara's hand instinctively drifted to the revolver holstered at her hip. Strangers weren't uncommon in these parts, drifters, outlaws, or lost souls seeking work, but caution was a rancher's best friend. The man drew nearer, and Clara could make out more details. He was a giant, easily over 6.5 feet tall, with shoulders broad enough to block out the sun. His face was hidden beneath the brim of a battered Stetson, but his jaw was square and stubbled, etched with lines that spoke of hard years. He wore a long duster coat, faded from countless miles, and boots caked in the red dirt of distant trails. As he reined in his horse a respectful distance away, he tipped his hat, revealing eyes as piercing as a hawk's, steel gray and unflinching. "Evenin', ma'am," he drawled, his voice deep and resonant, carrying the gravelly timbre of a man who'd shouted orders over howling winds. "Name's Gideon Holt. I've been ridin' these parts for a spell, heard tell of the Boone Ranch." "Figured.